Zion. I was lost, but now I'm found. I'm a child of Israel. I heard the sound, hear the sound. Please give me the strength to stand today. With my eyes towards the east, show me the way to Zion. I'm on my knees, laying my life on the line. I'm begging, please don't let me fall. Give me the strength. Place my feet, Lord, guide my path. Show me the way to Zion. I opened up the book and see that the apple of your eye included me. And through the tribulation, I know I must stand for a new heaven, a new earth. Show me the way to Zion. I'm on my knees, laying my life on the line. I'm begging, please don't let me fall. Give me the strength. Place my feet, guide my path. Show me the way to Zion. I feel the Spirit calling me, drawing me back home. Oh, it's happened with my family.
Shalom, brothers and sisters. We're the elders of the Gathering of Christ Church, Elder Lawyer and myself, Elder Ricard Shiar. We're here, and I would like to say Shabbat Shalom to all my brothers and sisters throughout the four corners of the earth. How are you? Hope you all are doing fine. Please do us a favor and hit the like button so that it can drive the traffic towards us. There is a shadow ban to let others know that we're actually broadcasting. Since we are a little late, I'm going to jump right in to our Sabbath lesson. The original title we had before coming on was Manifesting the Power of the Almighty, of the Most High. But while adding scriptures and putting things together, I had to change the title midstream. Okay, I had to change the title. You had one title, then you seen a different title. Well, there's a reason for that. I had to change the title to Our Battle with, Our Battle with the Children of Darkness. There's a battle going on. So I actually had to change the title. Our battle with the children of darkness is our lesson today. And in order to overcome this, the evil, we must be able to identify it and manifest the power of God to fight this battle for and with us. All right. Our battle with the children of darkness is the title. A lot of us don't even realize in this world every day, getting up, going into this world, trying to make ends meet, that we're actually walking into a daily battle. Okay? There's people as well as spirits targeting each individual in this earth on a regular basis, conspiring to bring us, if we're trying to do the right thing, they're trying their best to move us from under the hedge of the Most High and to make all people, it doesn't matter your race, a prey. Okay? Now, why I wanted to go into this in particular, because it's to a degree now in this earth that the majority of people in this earth don't even know what evil is. So I thought that I would go into a lesson to clearly identify, so that there's a what? So that there's a clear division for what? A conscious choice. Okay, for everyone to choose either good or evil. Okay, and understanding what evil is. So let's go into it. Our battle with the children of darkness. Now, the powers that be, Elder Lawyer, let's get perilous times. The powers that be who control this earth right now through psychology had to create a world in which each individual would decide what good and evil is. Okay? That good and evil would become subjective. All right? So, what I wanted to do is give a biblical perspective of the true battle. Our battle with the children of darkness. All right? Let's give today an absolute understanding of what evil is and what tools Satan used. Listen to me clearly. The tool he used to confuse people concerning good and evil. So we'll understand what side of the battle we're on. Keep in mind, if we're not on the side of the Most High, 100%, people are used as soldiers in Satan's battle against the world. There is no in between. All right? If we're not fully on the side of the Most High, you are a soldier being utilized to war against the Most High's elect. And at the end of it, we're going to show you how the Most High is, once the individuals choose a permanent side, when Christ returns, he's going to take that remnant that chose him through this darkness. But let's start with perilous times, the times we're living in now. Elder Lawyer?
2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 1.
Come on.
This know also, that in the last days perilous times shall come.
Perilous times will come. Read.
For men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous.
Hold up. Listen to this clearly. It says men shall become, including women, shall become lovers of their own selves. See, now what we're doing is putting a face and letting you clearly understand what evil looks like according to the Almighty. Okay, this is what evil looks like. Read it.
For men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous.
Covetous. Now, covetous is what? Insatiable, never satisfied, wanting, in particular, the definition above all definitions for the word covet, to actually desire or want what belongs to someone else. Not to earn in good faith to build your own. No, you have a drive to not have your own ideas and to be built through the Almighty and work with what the Most High have within you. No, your driving force is to focus on someone else to take what belongs to them and feel justified because you did the work to take. Okay, that's an evil spirit. Now, what we're doing, manifesting, we're bringing forth the understanding and what is evil. Okay? Desiring to want what belongs to someone else. Now, I can respect what someone else has. I can admire what they have. I can even be thankful that they have it. But that cannot turn into what? Coveting. I want that. I know it doesn't belong to me, but I want that. That's a certain spirit of darkness. And I'm going to break it all down here today. Read.
Boasters.
Boasters. I did this and I did that. Actually, leading with your accomplishments in conversation. Now, the world train us to do these things unconsciously without even thinking, to operate like that, to think it's normal. Leading with, okay, how you doing? Okay, how you doing? Oh, yeah, you look interesting. What exactly do you do? Oh, I'm CEO of da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Oh, I just got my master's and my bachelor's. We lead with what? Read it again.
Boasters.
Boasting of our accomplishments. So it's not whether or not we are what? Righteous. Whether or not we carry values. Whether or not we're lawful and strive to be moral. No. We don't lead with our morality because morality doesn't get us anything in a world controlled by darkness. We must lead with our boasting or accomplishments. See, this is how they have programmed us to boast and not even think to do so. Where it's more about how much money one makes, what is your status, than whether or not we are good people. See? And when you are a good person, keep in mind, if you are a good person and order your life aright, it's nothing for the Most High to take that good person and make a poor man rich overnight. Okay? So it's not about bragging about what you have. It's about the morality. So that if the Most High does, if he do bless you with something, you're not leading with what I've received. You're leading with the Most High blessed me with this. Okay? You're leading with, no, I'm nothing. It's how I interact with other people righteously that have allowed the Most High to bless my life and to bless my children. I don't want to leave here without having my children blessed with something. So I led with my morality and the heavens manifest itself. Okay? And showed favor on my house. It's the Most High. See? Read.
Proud.
Proud. Right? Now, taking a proud person cannot what? Cannot be corrected. A proud person won't even admit if they're wrong. See? Pride, proud. The Bible tells us in the wisdom scriptures that pride cometh before destruction and a haughty spirit before a fall. Right? Proud. Read. Here's the works of darkness, folks. Read.
Blasphemers.
Blasphemers. Blasphemers. This is synonymous with what? A liar. And I'm going to show you. Lying to a degree where it becomes what? People become desensitized to, and they're predisposed to lying just to lie. Why? Because there's no judgment outright for it. Blasphemers, straight liars. Read.
Disobedient to parents.
Here's the key right here. Disobedient to parents. And this goes well beyond, folks, well beyond the immediate family's law that one shall not dishonor thy father or mother. It's well beyond that. Disobedience to parents also fall in the line of what? Having respect for our ancestors, our parents. There's a legacy there. Israel, the children of Israel, the people of promise, the people who had law, morality, upholding the integrity or the family's name. The family's name, okay? We must understand and bring back what? Honor. Honor. It's like family names doesn't mean anything outside of putting a name on a job application or putting a name on a birth certificate or something like that. It's the only thing we think of when it comes to names, a marker or an identifier. We don't think of that name as something that we must uphold as a legacy to honor those who came before us. Names aren't anything anymore. You know why? Because Satan's first attack would be against the image of God. And I'm going to go into that in a moment. To totally skew society and totally distort and divert society concerning that image that would keep honor and legacy and integrity alive. See? Disobedient to parents. It's not just talking about your immediate father and mother. It's talking about your family line. Being disobedient to what? The laws that were given to our fathers. That's disobedient to our parents. And above all, getting back to the immediate family, if we don't respect our own parents, how can we respect the Almighty? We're all his children. So he give us small examples on how we operate in this earth, on how we actually view him. I see people out there outright who claim to serve the Most High and believe in God would publicly dishonor their parents, talking about how they was raised and giving their family a bad name. None of us had perfect upbringings. But discretion and honor must stay intact for the sake of your family's name. What happens to your family should be private. To get over it and operate within your family to correct it so the next generation don't suffer the curse. That's private. These are past learning experiences. So that now, okay, I know negative, but I can do better with my family. But that's private. You have people who claim to believe in the Most High and believe in God and all that, and they are outright just trash their parents live on the internet amongst their other people, not realizing how the Most High is looking at that. Okay? And at the end of the day, all the other people that you're talking to, they don't pity you anyway. The only thing they're listening to you just for a filler, just for entertainment. And at the end of the day, they're looking at you trashing your family saying, I'm glad it isn't me. At the end of the day. And they looking at it and saying, well, listen, I thought my upbringing was bad. Well, okay. Not compared to this guy. Not compared to this girl. Because we don't know what it means to disrespect. That's darkness. And I'm going to show you where that came from. Being disobedient to parents. Okay? And I'm going to tell you this also. The spirit of victim is a demon. I'm going to say it again. When someone leads with the spirit of victim, seeking empathy or sympathy in situations, that's a calculating, evil, dark spirit. Victims, I'm going to tell you, when people see they can get their way by playing victim, they'll live their whole life and they'll make being a victim a career. And the first victim was Satan, who claimed he was dealt unrighteously in the heavens with, and claimed victim. How can that God forgive man when we're their senior in creation and have banished us to an eternity down here, only to be judged at the end of it? That's wrong. What type of loving God would do this to me? Victim. Disobedience to parents. Victims do anything to get their way. Okay? It's evil. It's wicked. Okay? Right out. The standards we must deal with one another according to the laws of God. Okay, so there is no victims. What? If someone do something against a person, you make amends. Okay, so that no one don't carry a grudge or a victim the rest of their life to be used as a tool against others. The law. But I'm putting the cart before the horse. Keep on going, other lawyer.
Unthankful.
Unthankful. See, another way of looking at this work of darkness as unthankful. Let me put it in give an example that all of us can understand. Right? Entitled. Right? No one ever thought of being unthankful and untitled being synonymous one to another. Because if I'm entitled, I don't have to be thankful for what I've received. I was supposed to receive it. See? So I don't have to say thank you. I don't have to say I appreciate it that you've done something for me. Because I'm entitled. I'm supposed to have it. See that? Unthankful is a person who used to get in their way to a degree where they don't even appreciate when someone does something for them. They become unthankful. It made me sick when I seen the other day. I mean, someone showed, and our people show their shame right online. Right online. A girl sitting there with some nice flowers in a car, bragging on social media, talking about, look at these flowers. He could have at least gotten me a vase. He could have at least gotten me a vase. This sister sitting there in the car bragging about someone giving her flowers. Don't know what he went through to get these flowers. How much money he spent. Whether or not that was his last. Because he wanted to show how much he appreciate or care for her. And she's sitting there live showing everybody out there shaming this man. Saying he should have gotten me a vase with it. And she threw the flowers to the side. And I looked at it and I'm like, you don't know. You don't see how the Most High is examining this and seeing this. No man should give that woman anything. No man. And vice versa. If a woman works hard and do what she needs to do for a man and does all that, she have to be shown appreciation to some degree. And what is it? And I was talking about it in the man's class the other day amongst the men. Food, shelter, and raiment. Be there with content. A woman should at least have these things dealt with, taken care of, where she don't have to struggle and go out there. The man is supposed to make sure that she have the bare minimum, which is food, shelter, and raiment, without worry. Okay, and we discuss ways of getting men there to be able to do so that the world don't turn them into men. Having them go out there and try to do all these things to try to survive, it turns a woman hard. So the unthankful go both ways. But when someone don't have shame, when someone doesn't have shame, they'll just get on the video and just outright show how unthankful they are. Read that last piece again.
Unthankful, unholy,
Unholy, untrue. Now, this is, let me put a face to an unthankful, or better yet, an unholy person. Okay, because when you think of holy, we think of churchgoers, whatever the case is, praying. Well, let me give you an example of brothers and sisters unholy in a nutshell. And I've used this example before. When you hear a person say, well, I don't follow any religion at all. I'm spiritual. I'm spiritual. What that means, this person doesn't have a fundamental foundation. They don't have rules in their life to abide by according to a code. So if someone tell you that they don't believe in anything, but they're spiritual, run. That means they are Satanist. You're speaking to a Satanist, where they make the rules concerning what? A moral code or a less than. It's their decision what morality is. What they're telling you is, I believe there's something out there, but I just live my life the best way I can according to the universe. Satanist. Okay? Read that piece again, Elder Lawyer. If you have something on that, it's on you.
No, sir.
Go ahead.
Unholy,
Unholy. This is a person who doest thou will, march to the beat of their own drum. Read.
without natural affection.
Hold up now. Without natural affection. What's without natural affection, folks? What's without natural affection? Let me tell you, folks. And there's a new word that have come up within the last 5, 10, 15 years that our people, last decade, that our people uses loosely all the time, because you know how it is when we get a new word, and I'm tired of hearing it. When someone don't agree or do exactly what you want to do, usually we pull out words that we never used before in school back in the day, and you hear this word now more than anything. That person's a narcissist. That person is a... How can you determine what someone is without a moral code to filter that through? In reality, when you look at the definition of narcissist, it's Satan. So we'll throw out a word. I've seen the definition. The narcissist is Satan. That's who it is. But we'll throw out a word not realizing we're working for the narcissist. That we're operating the same as that narcissist. Right? You'll get a person who have knowledge, who is no nonsense, who won't allow people to talk around things, who expects what? Direct interaction without people skirting. You'll get a person who talks straight and honest with you in a wicked world. That person is a narcissist, because he don't allow people to weasel around and skate around and obfuscate like the world allows. It's to a degree where we don't know honest people when we see it, because everyone else is allowing us to be exactly how we like, how we want to be, without any judgment. And it's in the person that's direct, straight, that expect you to talk straight with them like Christ would. He's the bad guy in this world. He's the bad guy. And when someone speaks to you directly and expect you to deal with them honestly, that's the narcissist. To show you how backwards this world is. If Christ was walking the earth right now, the world would call him all types of things because he was direct and straight. And people are used to just skirting around, deceiving, getting their way, being covetous and lying, and have others accept it to a degree. When you're faced with someone who don't allow it, they're narcissists. They're evil. They're wrong. We're going to show you how they've turned things upside down here. This is our battle with the children of darkness, folks. Right? Finish reading.
Without natural affection.
Without natural affection. Now, when you don't have natural affection, when you don't understand what it is to be obedient to parents, respectful, honorable, not coveting, all the things that's written of in the scriptures, eventually you become a person desensitized to, you don't understand morality anymore. And what? You're willing to accept anything. Read that last piece again.
Without natural affection.
That throws off what? That throws off your spiritual barometer because there's no foundation. So now, without natural affection, you will accept anything. Here's an example. You would call yourself a Christian or one who believes in Christ and the Bible, but you will hang out with gay people. Right? You'll claim to be a Christian and one who believes in God, but you'll walk against the same moral codes of the Bible you claim to believe in. Right? Without natural affection. Let me show you who's without natural affection, where that spirit comes from. We're going there. The works of darkness. Now, myself, let me make it clear. I don't have any problem with gay people. I don't have no problem with it. I don't have no problem with anybody that's sinning against themselves, who's breaking the laws of the Most High. But I have power and I have control on who I allow in my circle. See? I have power to do that. I don't mind if there's a repentant center who admit the error of their ways and repent. Come on in. I don't care what you used to do. We all did things in the past that we would be ashamed of or knew that it was wrong according to God's law. So let me make it clear. I'm putting it out there. I don't have a problem with people, but I'm not going to hang with them and operate with these evildoers. Okay? Being unrepentant, because I know what a natural affection, I know what it does. If you're a person walking without natural affection, you see the world entirely different than a straight person. Entirely different. The world is different to you. How you see children is different. How you see the world is different, because that's what it means. And in an inordinate affection. It doesn't stop with the person you're sexually attracted to. And they try to minimize it to that. It doesn't stop there. There's a spirit of anger that's there that goes unchecked. And anytime you get an opportunity, you cause trouble. And you will see the trouble that you have actually conspired and allowed to happen. And you'll sit back after charging each side against each other in total silence. I've witnessed this, folks. I grew up in North Philadelphia, folks, and a lot of the wars and the fights and the evil is usually started with someone with an inordinate affection putting stuff in our people's heads. Okay? An inordinate affection. So it's a spirit of anger that's in them, that's being swept under the rug. A spirit of what? I'm going to go there in Romans. We're going to show you that in a moment. Finish, Elder Lawyer.
Like I mentioned as well, it also manifests itself in the spirit of what people call sociopaths. People have no empathy for mankind or their fellow man, have no sympathy for mankind or their fellow man.
Exactly. No sympathy, no empathy, without feeling. Read.
Truce breakers.
Truce breakers.
And false accusers.
False accusers. Now, usually people does this. What? They do this to get others, like children, on their side. Is how some children, unruly children, operate. They'll say something, even they'll lie to gain friends. See, and this is why in the Bible it says that let every word be established before two or more witnesses. Someone come to me and try to talk about another person. Read that again, Elder Lawyer, that last piece.
False accusers.
False accusers. You try to talk about another person. And how many times I've been on the phone and somebody try to bring up someone else and saying this, that, and the other. I'm like, yeah. When the last time you talked with this person? Oh, I just got off the phone with him. Get him on the phone for me real quick so you can say what you just said to me about that person, if that's what really happened. And what happens? Immediately they'll say, well, listen, I thought I could talk to you about something. I'm like, no, you can't talk to me about, you can't make another accusation about another person in their absence. Because eventually you're trying to convince me to feel like you feel about this person, and that person did nothing to me. Okay? That person did nothing to me, so you're not going to get me on your side against this person by planting a seed in my mind against a person who did nothing personally against me. Now, if you have an issue with that person, you have to work that out, but don't get upset if I have a relationship with this person who did nothing to me. See? So it's upon the individual to not just have itching ears to hear some juicy stuff. It's up to us to listen to what a person's saying and saying, well, listen, I think you're stepping over the bounds now. Don't call me and don't talk to me talking about another person. Because why? In that behavior, I know you're doing the same against me because it went unchecked. It went unchecked. So now I know that when you're talking to somebody else, this is what you're saying about me. I don't trust stuff like that when people can talk about another person in their absence and can't say the same thing in their presence. That's Satan. Read on.
Incontinent.
Incontinent. Read.
No self-control.
That's exactly. No self-control. No self-control, which means once the scenario presents itself, you at the behest of it. Okay? You're at the behest of it. No self-control, which means once something is presented, you must partake. You can't say, well, you know what? Nah, this person cannot say no. If it's presented, they're into it. No self-control. They can't say, well, you know what? No. Can't do this. No restraint. Sounds like the world we're living in right now, isn't it? Sound like the world we're living in. And let me tell you, folks, you know when the world ends? The world ends when there's when listen to this clearly. The world ends when marriage ends. To show you how close we are. This is how close we are. When there's no need for marriage, and I'm going to tell you, when they allowed everyone, when they began to redefine marriage, it was over. It was over. The destruction of the image of God. That's when it was over, folks. Because we're living in a world where there's no need for marriage anymore. Oh, that's right. Now, is there a need? Yeah, there's a need so that we can build children to fight against the darkness. But guess what? Satan have made what? The flesh easily accessible. So the men don't have to commit in this world anymore. They don't. They get what they want from whoever they want, any day of the week, any time. And by the same token, women aren't getting the commitments they used to get because the pool is so vast for young men. There's no commitment. So when they destroyed marriage by allowing others to do it, the same sex and all that, the plan wasn't for them to be married. The plan was to destroy marriage altogether. So they have filled the pool of the earth with an insatiable appetite for flesh, and have allowed everyone in this world to mingle and deal with one another, where marriage isn't a necessity, where no one have to put in the effort to actually do what? Have a pleasurable marriage, because the pleasure is readily available. It's over. It's over. And I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to be giving lessons on that. Once marriage, which is the image of God, was attacked, that was a sign that the earth will soon be judged. When Barack Obama signed that bill, it wasn't to stop gays from getting bullied. It was to now finance the dark forces against family, to where children won't recognize what family was according to God. That was the plan. And here we are. So here we are. Our fight against the children of darkness. So when the image of God is totally destroyed, when marriage isn't necessary anymore, it's over. Because there's no what? There's no examples of what you would call a nuclear or spiritual family who would instill the legacy of our forefathers or our traditions in the children. Finish reading, Elder Lloyd.
Fierce.
Fierce.
Despisers of those that are good.
Despisers of those that are good. And when it says fierce, you have a world filled with angry people. Cutthroats. And it's to a degree where you see the product that is produced from this unholy world, from the children of darkness. We can see it. Fierce, angry people. It's nothing to hear about another brother or sister dying today or tomorrow, and we're so desensitized, we go on to the next story. You get a guy saying, okay, somebody got shot. Okay, somebody got shot and killed. Oh, the rapper got shot and killed. Well, okay, let's see. Okay, let's scroll here, and now let's look at this new dance team with 2 million views on it, and you start bopping and dancing like yo, you just seen a story where your people just died in your neighborhood? And you just scroll and be like, well, okay, what's next? We've been desensitized. I remember when someone would die around the neighborhood, and the whole block would be sad for at least 2 to 3 weeks. I remember that. People didn't want to go outside after you heard someone close to you was killed. Here we go. Our battle with the children of darkness. Come on.
Yes, sir. Traitors.
Traitors. What's a traitor? A traitor is someone who claims to be your friend. How many of us have friends we grew up with right now? Somebody we can call that we grew up with and hang out and say, yo, how many of us have the friends we grew up with? Let me tell you, traitor is someone who say they're down with you, but in their heart, for the right price, they would sell you down the river. Traitors, read.
Heady. High-minded.
High-minded.
Lovers of pleasures more than lovers of God.
Tell me that's not where we are in the earth right now. Lovers of pleasures. Instead of loving morality, the laws of God, being good people according to a discipline that's taught through tradition within this Bible. One of the greatest mistakes we made was allowing Christian churches to talk about not judging. Totally taking that scripture out of context. Taking that scripture out of context when it says, judge not, lest ye be judged. Mm-hmm. That wasn't talking about allowing someone to deal with unrepentant sin and only to accept that. Let me give you the example of when Christ says, judge not, lest they be judged. He was talking about Pharisees and scribes who were coming down on everyone else according to the law when they were breaking it. Mm-hmm. They weren't in position to judge when they were doing the same thing. That's what that meant. You understand? They were being hypocritical with it. But that's not saying not to judge unrighteousness. That means we're going to allow murder to fester and continue to kill our children. Liars and cheaters and all things we disagree with, we're going to allow to operate. Supposing to be people who believe in God, who believe in Christ and the Bible. It wasn't talking about that. It was saying that those guys wasn't in position to judge anything because they were doing even worse. That's what that was talking about. But you need what? A line. You need laws. The worst thing they could have taught in our Christian church is thou shalt not judge. Pushing that garbage. And here it is. You see somebody, unlawful and doing all types of stuff. And listen, turn around, boy. You listen to the pastor. You don't got to worry about that stuff. You can't judge other people. What, you had something about the lawyer?
Trying to find where Christ says judge righteous judgment. But it's fine.
No, let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it.
Okay, John 7:24.
Come on. John 7:24.
St. John chapter 7, verse number 24. Judge not according to the appearance, but judge righteous judgment.
But judge righteous judgment. You see the law, you see someone breaking the law, and you can judge that righteously and say, now you must correct one in the spirit of meekness, not condemning a person. But a person should not be able to walk comfortably as a sinner amongst the community. They have to be totally reminded, eventually the Most High is going to bring a judgment on you. I cannot hang out with a dude that like other dudes. Can't do it. I can pray for you, but I'm going to keep telling you that's wrong. If you see things that way, the whole world you're seeing is different than mine. Same thing with a woman. I see guys, thugs out there hanging out with these stud type women. And you have brothers doing what? Excusing and actually enabling that behavior by having it as a homie. That's not a homie. That's a girl with some deeply rooted issues that need to get fixed so that she can be a wife for a man. That's what that is. And when we were growing up, it was no such thing as the brothers on the block hanging out with a woman who wanted to be a dude. No, that ain't happening. And this is what we've allowed. Somebody coming up with their pants hanging down, and sitting there, trying to get, nah. You go put on a dress, get yourself together, girl. We don't deal like that. We don't enable women who want to go after the women that's supposed to be, that should want to desire us. No. Okay? Finish reading.
Yes, sir. Verse 5. Having a form of godliness, but denying the power thereof.
And that's been our Christian churches, folks. Having a form of godliness, but denying the Most High by not what? Upholding the laws of God, the laws in the Bible within our churches. A straight facade. A straight facade they've been teaching. And that's why our neighborhoods are totally decrepit and destroyed. The church is only as good as the community it represents. Understand that. When you go into the suburbs and you go into these other communities and you see them with their yard sales and the children coming out running without the threat of being shot, that church, not saying that it's perfect, but you can tell that that church belongs to that community, and that community belongs to that church. And you go to the churches in our neighborhood, trash stroll all over the place. They supposed to be community leaders, priests of the Most High God. You have a store selling 40 ounces in blunts 2 doors down from the church. The drug dealer pushing the drugs all on our people in the neighborhoods, and the mom goes to the church or up the street where the guy's selling drugs at. Having a form of godliness, but what?
But denying the power thereof.
But denying the power of God. Denying the same God we claim to serve. Because no one wants to admit outright that they're really serving the Prince of Darkness. And they're using Christ and God in the Bible as a front. No one wants to stay straight out because they know that what they're doing is against the laws of God. Read, from such what?
From such turn away.
From such turn away. Read.
For of this sort are they which creep into houses and lead captive silly women laden with sins, led away with diverse lusts.
Led away with diverse lusts. And that also goes into the spirituality that links directly into what we see as the conscious community too. This is why they don't want to follow the Bible or deal in the Bible.
Last verse.
Come on.
Ever learning, verse 7.
Ever learning this knowledge and that line, bringing the knowledge and bringing the truth. Ever learning.
Always building.
Yeah, we're always building. It's about the information.
Nothing to show for it.
Go ahead.
Ever learning and never able to come to the knowledge of the truth.
And never even willing to come to the knowledge of the truth. Because the knowledge of the truth isn't how much you can show others you know. That's not the knowledge of the truth. The knowledge of the truth is to actually see the Bible and the laws in its proper context, to instill the values in our families. Repent from our sins and walk what we're learning. That brings us on what? The side of righteousness. But let's go here real quick, Elder Lloyd. Let's go to Matthew 6:24 real quick.
Yes, sir.
Our battle with the children of darkness is the lesson for those who've just come in. We thank you all. And do us a favor. Can y'all hit that like button for us once more? We're about 1,000 down. Just help us out real quick. Okay.
St. Matthew chapter 6, verse number 24.
Come on.
No man can serve two masters.
No man can serve two masters. Folks, there's only two masters out here that works in the invisible. The righteous and the unrighteous. The Most High angels who work for the righteous, the remnant who will be saved, and the spirits that works under the prince of darkness. There's only two. Read.
No man can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will hold to the one and despise the other. Ye cannot serve God and mammon.
You cannot serve God and mammon. Read. Hold on. So let's start off with understanding our lesson, our battle against the children of darkness. A matter of fact, let me update that. That's better. Our battle against the children of darkness. Now that we understand there's only two separate sides, last week I went into the spirits that seek people as host, and how we can overcome sicknesses by identifying the demons who created them. Right? I went there last week. Now let's deal with this battle we're in. Right? Elder Lawyer, let's go to Ephesians, the 2nd chapter in the 1st verse.
Ephesians chapter 2, verse number 1.
Read.
And you have he quickened, who were dead in trespasses and sins.
So it says, you have quickened. Who what?
Who were dead in trespasses and sins.
Who were dead in and what? Read that part again. Transgressions, read.
And sins.
And sins.
Where in time past ye walked according to the course of this world.
So this is what it means, walking under Satan, or walking with him, serving the prince of darkness. Before we realize the truth concerning who we are in our law, statutes, and commandments, we were on what? A trajectory, a path under the prince of darkness. Read that last piece again, Elder Lawyer.
In you hath he quickened, who were dead in trespasses and sins, where in time past ye walked according to the course of this world.
Come on.
According to the prince of the power of the air.
According to the prince of the power of the air. So the influence was from the who? The prince of darkness, Satan. Read.
The spirit that now worketh in the children of disobedience.
The spirit that now work in the children of disobedience. These are the people who do what? Who totally hates and resent God. They hate the law. They hate the Bible. Well, folks, these are the people who are in charge. In charge, folks. And at one point, we were on the same trajectory. Read that once more, the Lord, because there's something I want to bring out of that.
Yes, sir. Ephesians 2, verse 1.
Come on.
And you hath he quickened, who were dead in trespasses and sins, where in time past ye walked according to the course of this world, according to the prince of the power of the air, the spirit that now worketh in the children of disobedience.
So we were quickened. The Most High found favor in us. He's seen us as his children suffering, trying to make something out of all this darkness. And he sent the angels to minister, to move us towards the light, the understanding of him, of Christ. And at that point, we started to realize the path we were on. And we started to see the world for what it really is. Now, what you didn't know is that there's telltale indicators when those who are quickened in the spirit are pulled out of the matrix. There's telltale signs to let you know that you were pulled out. The people who you were walking once amongst, they all together will identify the demon in them when you say certain things or when your actions become different. It seems like they're not paying attention until you are quickened, until you're pulled out. And that's when you can see the demon in them. The day you begin to not want to celebrate Christmas anymore, Easter anymore, Sunday anymore, you didn't know that these people were actually paying attention to you at all, did you? But all of a sudden, their sights are on you. You become the bane of their existence, and guess what? They resent and begin to hate you. It's not them. They haven't been quickened. They're not dead to this. Their old man isn't dead. Automatically, these people who you thought wasn't paying attention have their eyes on you. See, this is how the Most High is moving and separating his remnant from the rest. These are the people where if you are a murderer, if you are a liar, if you bear false witness, if you're disobedient to parents, if you sell drugs, if you are a Muslim, if you are a Christian, that you are accepted within the community. You are accepted in the community if you're all those things. But if you come out and say, I want to follow the laws of God and follow Christ and this Bible, and I no longer need to serve these holidays, which are satanic, you become worse than all I've just named. You become worse than the drug dealer, the murderer, the adulterer, all of that. You notice that? You notice that? But we've been quickened. And by being quickened, the Most High have given us the understanding of what this is. We've been moved slowly in the spirit. We've been separated from the rest. Finish reading, Elder Lloyd, because there's something I want to bring out of that.
Yes, sir. In time past, ye walked according to the course of this world.
Come on.
According to the prince of the power of the air, the spirit that now worketh in the children of disobedience.
The spirit that now work in the children of disobedience. Come on.
Among whom also we had our conversation in time past in the lust of our flesh.
So we were the same. That's why, folks, they didn't see us any differently when we were dealing wrong and all that. Because why? They could relate to us because we were doing the same things. So there was no guilt. Okay, there was no guilt in the matter because we were doing the same thing on either side. But now we come around with this Bible, they like, what? Come on. You cramping our style now and you imposing on our darkness. Right? Like, we got to get you out of here. Read.
Among whom also we had our conversation in time past in the lust of our flesh.
So we were doing the same things.
Fulfilling the desires of the flesh and of the mind.
Come on.
And were by nature the children of wrath, even as others.
We were by nature the children of wrath as others. We were on the same trajectory. folks. We were on the same trajectory. And what a job, what a job they did constructing this Babylonian system that controls people psyche through psychology to make you believe you're doing the right thing. To make you believe you are a good person, outright breaking the laws of God. See? Finish reading.
Verse 4. But God, who is rich in mercy, for his great love wherewith he loved us, even when we were dead in sin,
Even when we were sinning. Read.
hath quickened us together with Christ. By grace ye are saved.
By grace we are saved. Okay, under the grace of Christ through baptism and confessing our faults. But I'm going to tell you, he's seen something in us, even when we were what? Under sin. He's seen something in the elect. See? Now that's a father that regardless of what you're doing, regardless of what you're doing down there, I see something in you. What I made in you. What I sent to this earth, pure from heaven, is still in my children. I see that in you. I see that you want to get to know me better. So what did the Most High do? He clicked it on. He clicked it on and say, you know what? Show them me in the book. Show them themselves and show them their history. And at that point, they have a choice to make. Show them the history. Show them that I'm the God who saved their forefathers out of Egypt. Out of Egypt. Show them that the same way I took my people out of bondage, that one day soon I will gather that remnant throughout the four corners of the earth. He's seen something in us. Finish reading.
Verse 6. And have raised us up together, and made us sit together in heavenly places in Christ Yeshua.
Come on.
That in ages to come he might show the exceeding riches of his grace and his kindness toward us through Christ Yeshua.
Come on.
For by grace ye are saved through faith, and that not of yourselves, it is the gift of God.
But this is the gift of God, that even though we were no different than the rest, he chose his remnant based on what? His word. That he would save a remnant in the last days out of darkness. That he would save a remnant. Now, I'm going to go back to Ephesians and read that to the end a little later, Elder Lawyer.
Yes, sir.
But in the meantime, there's a few scriptures that I want you to get. When I said that in order, one moment here, let me grab this. That in order for Satan to execute his power on the earth, to lead the whole earth and all in it towards his trajectory, which is judgment, he had to attack marriage, which is the image of God. He had to attack the spirit of, and every time he began to do what? Make a society that would turn on itself to a degree where no one would make it, the Most High sent a judgment. Now, we're going to deal with the prince of darkness real quick and show you how he operates real quick. The prince of darkness. Elder Lawyer, let's get St. John 8:44.
St. John chapter 8, verse number 44.
Now, we're going to identify the spirit that's in Satan. Now, once he got people under him, under his spirit, something is produced out of it. Right? What is it? Now, Satan exists, folks. For those who don't know, he exists. The Bible tells us we wrestle not with flesh and blood. The prince of darkness exists, and I'm going to show y'all something on that. Elder Lawyer, let's get St. John 8:4, and let's deal with the nature that comes from this being.
St. John 8:44.
Come on.
Ye are of your father, the devil.
Okay, so when the children of the devil, guess what? Here are the actions that comes from these people who walk in the course of this world, who don't care to follow the law, statutes, and commandments, who have become enemies of those who are trying to do what's right in the earth. Now, when people are children, it says, Christ says, ye are of your father, the devil. Read.
And the lust of your father ye will do.
Like we showed in the perilous times, 2 Timothy's. The perilous times, the children of darkness and how they operate, the lust of the flesh. The lust of your father ye will do. Read.
He was a murderer from the beginning.
Read that again.
He was a murderer from the beginning.
So the children of the devil operate in the spirit of Cain. Any opportunity to argue, any opportunity to cause some type of conflict that leads to murder, including anger, is of Satan. Ye were what?
He was a murderer from the beginning.
Cain killed his own blood brother. And this is what we see in our communities every day and have become desensitized to it. He was a murderer in the beginning. Now, what leads to the murder? And what happens after the murder? Read.
And abode not in the truth.
Lie. Lies. Excuses. Murderers and liars. This is what Satan manifests for those who walk in his course under his spirit against the laws of God. And that's his plan, to kill off God's creation, to turn one amongst each other, to lie one amongst each other, to covet and hate, to commit adultery, to sin, to eventually do what? That's right. The final destination, hell, to be bound in his judgment. If Satan cannot get off of this realm, eventually the judgment is what? He'll be bound in hell. It's a spiritual realm. Well, folks, that place wasn't meant for us. But walking under the course of Satan, he can convince us through the lust of our flesh, brothers and sisters, to become liars, cheaters, murderers. And thereby, he become what? A soul snatcher. So we must watch, brothers and sisters, when we're easily angry over anything, like Cain was. And it goes back to that victim spirit. I've been wronged. We need to let that go. That was Cain. You are a victim. Now, everything that comes down, well, no one understands me. I'm a victim. That's Satan. Okay? It makes it where you start saying things against other people, bearing false witness just so that other people can hate someone or feel like you feel against someone. That's Satan. Read on.
He was a murderer from the beginning, and abode not in the truth.
And abode not in the truth. Lie just to lie. Read.
Because there is no truth in him.
Because there is no truth in that person. These are dangerous people who would lie just to lie. John 14 and 30. So now, what is the nature of the children of darkness? They're murderers and they're liars, instigators. John 14 and 30.
St. John 14, verse 30. Hereafter I will not talk much with you, for the prince of this world cometh, and have nothing in me.
Christ told the disciples at this point, here's my last conversation with you. But after I'm gone, understand who's running this earth. The prince of darkness comes. The prince of this world comes, read.
And have nothing in me.
And have nothing in me. He's the contrast of me. The exact opposite will run this world. But those who hold to my Father's law will I gather together. That small remnant, and sift them from the earth, but everyone else will perish. Now let's deal with the nature. The nature of the prince of this world. Elder Lawyer, let's get in the beginning when the Most High made man in his image. Genesis 1 and 26.
Genesis 1, verse number 26.
And folks, I gave an example earlier, and I want you all to try that exercise. The example I gave earlier, so you can have a physical understanding of how a spirit works. And when you do the right thing according to Christ's law, the devil flees. I did an exercise earlier that I tell you about what I do personally. And sometimes I do it without even thinking about it. Because usually someone will reach out and they're angry and this, that, and the other, and they need to speak to me about something that's going on. And I'm on the phone speaking to these people. And they're only telling me what someone else is doing, without adding, meticulously omitting their part in any of the conversation. They did nothing wrong. It's just one person that's the devil. So I have an exercise that I do. The Bible says one cannot bear false witness against his neighbor. Let all words be established before two or more witnesses. So when someone comes and calling me talking about someone else, guess what? I'm not saying they're dishonest, but I know there's two sides to a story. So what I do in the midst of them just callously just talking about another person, I'm saying, well, hold up. I don't think I can hear this stuff because you're making me feel a certain type of way about a person who did nothing to me. So I have an exercise. I say, get that person on the phone real quick. You just talk with them, get them on the phone. And if they try to divert the conversation of saying, well, no, I thought I can talk to you, you know that there's a devil there. And that's when I say, well, excuse me, you're trying to make me an accomplice into what you're doing. You're breaking a law here. You're not supposed to come and bring me nothing without some witnesses when you are accusing a person. Try that exercise, folks, and guess what you will find? Less and less people coming to you speaking negative about another person. Try that exercise. And guess what? I've had it on a conversation where I'm talking to a person and say, I can't receive what you're saying about another person. And they'll try to turn it on me. Well, what are you saying? I'm lying? No, I don't know what you're doing because the other person didn't come in to tell their side. I'm not saying that I don't believe you. I'm saying that I can't hear what you're saying because now whatever's on you, I'm starting to feel negative about this person who did nothing to me. That's the point. And if this person is so wrong, This person need to get corrected, but it can't be corrected if you got two people on the line on the outside of this person that now thinks negative of him or her. Try that exercise, folks. The devil will flee. The devil will, then you'll see the spirit in the person. Because the only thing you're asking them to do is what Christ said do. If you have aught with your brother, go to him alone. And if they've heard you, you have gained a brother. And if he don't hear you, bring before you two or more witnesses. But you would have people who will start talking about other people and come to you about the person. And guess what? This person didn't even go to the person they had a problem with. Try these exercises. The devil hates these exercises because this is Christ. This is showing where the demon was from the beginning. Because if you did nothing wrong, you should have no problem bringing the person in you're talking about. Right? So try that exercise, folks, because what we're saying, a lot of these exercises lead to where there is no murder at the end of it. Too many times in anger in the neighborhood, we'll say something to another person about another person that's not true, not realizing how that person is going to carry that information. And then 2 days later, you hear about the person you talked to killing someone or harming someone based on your conversation. Didn't think that it was going to affect them that way, but now they're in defense of you. This is how a lot of murders happen in our communities, brothers and sisters. A lot of murders. Because we allow this mess to go on and the children of darkness to fester and to whisper and cause these issues. And we're burying our brothers and sisters every day because of it. Because no one is not going to hold these people to task and say, stop lying, stop coming to me with your issues, get your life right with the Most High. So let's go to the image of God real quick, Elder Lawyer.
Genesis 1 verse 26.
Come on.
And God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him. Male and female created he them.
Male and female created he them. That's the image of God. Male getting with female to bring forth life. That's the image of God. That's the image of God. But what happened? What happened? Elder Lawyer, hold that. And I need you to now get the image of God where it says male and female in Genesis 5 real quick. But what happened? So Satan has a problem with what? The institution of order that comes through marriage. That comes through marriage. Marriage isn't two people getting together because they're sexually attracted to one another. Okay? That's a bonus. That's not the reason people get together. People get together to do what? To bring forth order, a righteous order according to a heavenly law, and instill that law within their children for legacy. That's what man and woman was put together for. Man was put together for dominion. That means in order to have dominion, he must have some level of what? Order and plan for the family. So that a woman can come in and help meet the requirements that's put on that man by God. This was the original order that was stolen. So if Satan can come in and cause a wedge between the two, he can destroy the image of God and take dominion of this earth. So in order for him to control the earth, he must have what? A faction of people in the earth that hates the true image of God. That's man and woman coming together with a plan. Because with that comes what? An automatic hedge of defense from the heavens that's extended to your home. You're raising your children in a certain fashion that the enemy cannot destroy once they go outside, because they're being raised with the same plan from heaven. And this is why they hate the image of God, because Satan and his cohorts cannot add your family or your children to his army, to his dark army. I hope you're following me here. So the image of God, first and foremost, Satan had to destroy was man and woman, the institution of marriage. Now, hey, the Bible says, Christ even said that we will become a generation of adulterers, to a degree where marriage has no meaning according to its original purpose. It'd just be the whole world dealing with each other. That was the plan. But come on, let's get the image of God. Let's go.
Genesis 5:1.
Come on.
This is the book of the generations of Adam, and the day that God created man, in the likeness of God made he him.
Come on.
Male and female created he them.
Male and female created he them. Now there is a God of this world, a prince of this world, Lucifer, the fallen one. But there is a rule of engagement, which means he can only recruit or come against those whom the Most High allows him to. Okay? That the Most High allows him to. Now let me show you. Before Christ came, the Most High, here's an exception to the rule. The Most High allowed Satan to attack one of the righteous, Job, to show that it doesn't matter what Job will lose, he would stay under the hedge of not the hedge, but he would stay under the laws and the morality of his God, regardless of circumstance. It doesn't matter if he loses his house. Doesn't matter if he loses children. Doesn't matter if he loses his family, his wife. He will stand with the Almighty. Let's get that story real quick, Elder Lawyer.
The book of Job, chapter 1, verse 1.
And get Matthew 12.
Yes, sir.
Revelation 12. Hold that.
All right. Job, chapter 1, verse number 1.
Read.
There was a man in the land of Uz, whose name was Job, and that man was perfect and upright, one that feared God and eschewed evil.
Come on.
And there were born unto him 7 sons and 3 daughters. His substance was also 7,000 sheep, and 3,000 camels, and 500 yoke of oxen, and 500 she-donkeys, and a very great household, so that this man was the greatest of all the men of the east.
Read.
And his sons went and feasted in their houses, every one his day, and sent and called for their 3 sisters to eat and drink with them. And it was so, when the days of their feasting were gone about, that Job sent and sanctified them, and rose up early in the morning, and offered burnt offerings according to the number of them all. For Job said, It may be that my sons have sinned, and cursed God in their hearts. Thus did Job continually.
So here it is. Even though we know his children didn't walk in the ways of our God, he would pray for the children, because he noticed eventually these children in this world, they do what they want to do. But you know what? The Most High at this time hedged his children for Job's sake. He says maybe even in their heart they questioned God, or they would curse God. But you know what? My prayer will cover them. Like a lot of our children may do things, they got their own mind. But all in all, if we do what's right, eventually that son or that daughter will come back under that hedge. See? If we stand like Job. Here's the example. Read.
Verse 6. Now there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord.
These are the angels before the heavenly realm.
And Satan came also among them.
Satan came also among them. Read.
And the Lord said unto Satan, Whence comest thou?
Where you coming from?
And Satan answered the Lord, and said, From going to and fro in the earth,
To prove he was in the heavens. Read.
and from walking up and down in it. And the Lord said unto Satan, Hast thou considered my servant Job,
Have you seen Job down there? Of course. Read.
that there is none like him in the earth, a perfect and an upright man, one that feareth God and escheweth evil?
Come on.
Then Satan answered the Lord and said, Doth Job fear God for naught? Hast thou not made an hedge about him, and about his house, and about all that he hath on every side? Thou hast blessed the work of his hands, and his substance is increased in the land. But put forth thine hand, now, and touch all that he hath, and he will curse thee to thy face.
So he says, yeah, of course. You have hedged him. The angels are protecting Job and his family. Take the hedge away, and Job will curse you, Lord. That's what he thought, right? Check this out. Finish reading.
Verse 12. And the Lord said unto Satan, Behold, all that he hath is in thy power. Only upon himself put not forth thine hand.
He says, do what you want to do. Send everything you got against Job, but you cannot touch his life. He must stay alive. Read.
So Satan went forth from the presence of the Lord. 13.
Now, he went forth. Now, in a nutshell, when you read the story of Job, okay? Job's wife said, curse that God to death. Die already. The wife. The children who was doing evil and all that Job was protecting through prayer, eventually they died because there was no protection for them because they were sinning. The wife ended up dying. Job, not once did Job become unfaithful. Not once did he curse the Almighty. He stayed obedient and said, you know what? My life is sufficient. And guess what, folks? The Most High blessed Job for standing with him. After it was said and done, the wife that cursed God, he got a better wife. He even had more children, more land, more sheep. See? But here's the piece I wanted to break out on this. Elder Lawyer, I need you to get real quick. Go down to the 16th verse.
Verse 16. While he was yet speaking, there came also another and said, The fire of God is fallen from heaven.
So one came to him and says what? The fire of God, read,
is fallen from heaven.
Is fallen from heaven. We know Lucifer fall like a meteor. Okay? Like the phoenix. Read.
The fire of God is fallen from heaven.
Has fallen from heaven.
And have burnt up the sheep and the servants and consumed them. And I am only escaped alone to tell thee.
I'm only escaped alone to tell you. Well, folks, even though this is talking about what happened to Job's flock and all that, this is what he has done to us. The sheep, the lost sheep of the house of Israel. He have fallen and devoured all of the sheep. But read that last piece.
Yes, sir. The fire of God is fallen from heaven and have burned up the sheep and the servants consumed them.
Come on.
And I only am escaped alone to tell thee.
And it says, I only am escaped alone to tell thee. Which is saying also that there will be a remnant who would escape from this sheep, brothers and sisters. Satan have fallen from heaven to destroy the sheep of God. And only a remnant will make it through. Okay? Now, I'm going to show you something now. Let's go to Revelation, Elder Lawyer, the 12th chapter.
Revelation chapter 12, verse number from the top.
No, I need you to go straight to where it says that started
Cast
to.
out.
Yeah, exactly.
Revelation 12, verse number 7.
Now, why are we going here? Because Satan no longer have the same power he had in the Old Testament. Okay? He can no longer go before the throne of the Almighty and accuse our people like he did Job. Christ took that power from the devil, from Lucifer. He have now been relegated to this plane right here on earth to finish out his work until the judgment. Okay? So I know a lot of people look at that story and was like, well, the man was righteous. Well, why did he allow this to happen to that man? Well, keep in mind, folks, the things that were written aforetime was written for our learning. Look at all the things that happens to us, but the Most High preserve us alive, and we still haven't cursed him based. Look at all the evil. Most people have rejected him and say that he doesn't exist. The Bible isn't real. God isn't real. Christ is an aberration. He really don't exist. But a lot of us, like Job, held on to that faith and what? Appreciate the life the Most High have given us. See? Many of our people, our own people, just like Job's family, have cursed the Most High based on what? The condition of our people. But there's a remnant who stays with Christ, who's on the right side of light against the children of darkness, brothers and sisters. And you are the people he's going to use. You're not going to use your circumstance as a victim or to question God. You're going to thank the Most High for the life he's given us so that we can be utilized in this battle against darkness. Finish reading, Elder Lawyer.
Revelation 12, verse 7.
Yes.
And there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels.
Come on.
And prevailed not, neither was their place found any more in heaven. And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him.
Read.
And I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, Now does come salvation and strength and the kingdom of our God and the power of his Christ. For the accuser of our brethren is cast down.
The accuser of the brethren is cast down. Read.
Which accused them before our God day and night.
Because this is what he did during the time of Job. Up until the time Christ went to the heavenly realm to shed his blood for the sins of the nation, Lucifer, or the fallen one, had access amongst what? The council of the Almighty. So the angels rejoiced when Christ went there for the sins of all of us. The angels rejoiced. Why? Read it.
Verse number, the middle of verse 10. For the accuser of our brethren is cast down.
The accuser of the brethren is relegated to the earth now. But because of that, he's angry. He have no more access to the thrones of fire, the stones of fire, the heavenly realm, the sides of the north. So he became angry. Read.
Verse 11. And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony, and they loved not their lives unto the death.
Just like Job. Read.
Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth.
Woe to those that are down here on earth. Read.
And of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he have but a short time.
Because he know that he have a short time. He have no more access to the throne to do what? to accuse the brethren like he did during the time of Job. And that's why there's so much mayhem and chaos breaking out on the earth till this day. Since he cannot war with Christ, who have relegated him to earth, he's at war with who? The woman who brought forth the man-child. He's at war with the children of Israel and is willing to destroy the whole earth. If only it means to do what? To get rid of that bloodline. He have to get rid of that bloodline because it was prophesied that that bloodline in the earth through Adam was born to judge him. So if he can depopulate and kill our people off, there'll be no one left for Christ to come back for. That's the plan. But in order for him to do that, he must attack the image of God and destroy family from amongst the earth. Male and female coming together to bring forth a defense against the fallen. Okay, that's his plan. To totally destroy family, destroy the image, so there's no righteousness or law taught in the earth. Chaos must reign, must rule. I'm only going to go about another 15, 20 minutes. I have a few more scriptures to go through. Hold tight. We'll be right back. Our battle against the children of darkness. Hold tight. The Bible. Is it hard to understand?
When it comes to reading the Bible, the first thing that comes to mind is the fact that this is the Word of God.
The seals have been broken, and the truth is here.
And when we go throughout the scriptures, when we go throughout extra biblical records, we find that the language that God employed, that he used to create the heavens and the earth, was the Hebrew language.
Christ said, I came for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. But yet no one, no religious leader, no religious church out there anywhere can now identify the 12 tribes of Israel. Can we? God is quite simple, but it seems as if man makes understanding him hard.
What are those mysteries?
The truth of your book and the truth will make you free. The Hebrew and Bible Academy. You're invited. Okay, coming in part 2 of the particular lesson, our battle against the children of darkness. And yes, the Hebrew and Bible Academy, we're still within the first month of it. So tomorrow we're going into Who's Edom. If you're interested in coming in for that particular lesson, you will go to historytimes.org. I'll put it here. And we have the administration working around the clock. So you go to historytimes.org. Right? Okay, historytimes.org. Just go there. We'll make sure you get the 3 weeks missed. And you can start off fresh tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. with our 4th lesson. We have another we got well over 2 months of the academy with this one. So you can get in while it's still early. Go to historytimes.org, where we'll be going into tomorrow, Who is Edom. Now, Elder Lawyer.
Yes, sir.
Let's deal with the nature of the people of darkness, right? Let's go into a few scriptures. Let's go when the 2 angels came before Abraham first. Let's go to Abraham. Let's go to Lot. Now, all through the Old Testament, there were angelic interventions. I need you to also go involuntary worship of angels. And I also need you to go to the one where it says Hebrews 13:2. Be careful entertain strangers, right? For some have entertained angels unawares.
Yes, sir. Hebrews 13, verse 2.
Read.
Remember, in fact, yes, verse 2.
Yeah.
Be not forgetful to entertain strangers.
The Bible speaks and it teaches, be not forgetful to entertain strangers. Read.
For thereby some have entertained angels unawares.
Thereby some have entertained angels unawares. Like I've mentioned last week, I mentioned in the academy also, as many people we have on this earth right now, there's angels who come into our realm. If we were to look into the invisible, they're everywhere. They're everywhere. So we have to be careful how we deal with strangers. Why? Because you could be interacting with an angel unbeknownst, unannounced. See, back then in old time, especially at night or different times, we could see an angel come into our realm. Why? We weren't in these cities like this. So if there's something dark, you can see an angel come from the light, he'll come right in your presence, and we knew it was angels. But they got all these cities lit up all over the place where you can't even recognize when there's interaction with spirits. But if you see meteors falling, if you see there's no such thing as comets and all that stuff they're telling you. Every time that's happening, either an angel is falling or an angel is coming into the presence of this earth. Okay? Now, Elder Lawyer, let's get the example real quick. Get involuntary worship of angels first.
Colossians 2 and 18. Let no man beguile you of your reward.
Let no man trick you of your reward.
In a voluntary humility in worshiping of angels.
Read.
Intruding into those things which ye have not seen, vainly puffed up by his fleshly mind.
Come on. No, involuntary worship of angels. Read that again.
Let no man beguile you of your reward.
Let no man trick you out of your reward.
In a voluntary humility and worshiping of angels.
Involuntary humility and worshiping of angels. Now, why am I going here? Witchcraft, sorcery. These are the children of darkness who do what? Who use incantations and different spells or different connections with angels to fight against the righteous. So we must be careful that we're not what? Coerce into involuntary worshiping of the angels, because this gives those others powers to destroy us. Okay? Christianity does it. Islam does it. Without us knowing, you're actually dealing with involuntary worshiping of angels. But by doing so, the sorcerers who control this earth have now power to destroy the children of light, our people. Okay? So it says, don't let nobody trick you into following one of these religions in which you're now under the behest of one of these angels. Okay, that's why you see it in the epistles, in Christ's writings. It's identifying the spiritual warfare on how the dark powers gain power over us. Now, how do we fight against this? That's right. First of all, we must not walk with the course of this world like we once did. Follow the law, repent for our sins, get baptized, and walk in newness of life. Okay? Don't follow none of these holidays at all. That's involuntary worshiping of angels. We've moved ourselves from under the hedge of the Almighty. Now, I want to give some examples now of the righteous angels working for our turn in the Bible. Give some examples. Elder Lawyer, let's go to Genesis.
Genesis 18, I'll start at verse 16.
Come on.
And the men rose up from thence and looked toward Sodom, and Abraham went with them to bring them on the way. And the Lord said, Shall I hide from Abraham that thing which I do? And seeing that Abraham shall surely become a great and mighty nation, and all the nations of the earth shall be blessed in him. For I know him that he will command his children and his household after him, and they shall keep the way of the Lord to do justice and judgment, that the Lord may bring upon Abraham which he hath spoken of him.
So this is what? Angels intervening, walking with the righteous during the time of promise. Now, the scriptures identify these angels as men. So I'm bringing this out, brothers and sisters, so that even though we understand the evil and darkness and the wickedness that goes on the left-hand side under the prince of darkness, it's important that our brothers and sisters know that even since before Abraham, the angels would always interact with us and for us, whether we see them or not. That's important to know, brothers and sisters, that there's legions of angels that's in the earth to fight our cause. Here's an example of two men who are really angels sitting down with the Father of promise. Well, guess what? These so-called men will sit amongst Lot to warn Lot of the what? Of the destruction to come on Sodom and Gomorrah. Let's go there, Elder Lawyer.
Yes, sir. And it's heavy because the angels presented themselves to both Abram as well as Lot as what? Strangers.
As strangers. Exactly.
Jumping over to Genesis 19:1.
Read.
And there came two angels to Sodom, at even, and Lot sat in the gate of Sodom, and Lot, seeing them, rose up to meet them, and he bowed himself with his face toward the ground.
Come on.
And he said, Behold now, my lords, turn in, I pray you, into your servant's house, and tarry all night, and wash your feet, and ye shall rise up early, and go on your ways. And they said, Nay, but we will abide in the street all night.
We will abide in the street all night. Read.
Verse 3, And he pressed upon them greatly, and they turned in unto him, and entered into his house, and he made them a feast, and did bake unleavened bread, and they did eat.
Come on.
But before
That's right. The angels can consume food. Yes. Read.
But before they lay down, the men of the city, even the men of Sodom, can pass the house round, both old and young, all the people from every quarter. And they called unto Lot, and said unto him, Where are the men which came into thee this night? Bring them out unto us, that we may know them.
Come on. That we may know them. So Sodom that's right, folks, began to become overcome with the acts of homosexuality. A clear sign that the Most High would soon judge that area. Why? They were looking to eradicate what? The institution of marriage, the image of God. No man and woman coming together, folks. Believe me, that's the end of life. That's Satan's plan to destroy the righteous, knowing that man will one day judge him. So here it is. They seen two tall men who appeared to be men walking into Lot's area, into his home. Not realizing they were angels, these people were so brazen that just them dealing with one another wasn't enough. Wasn't enough, brothers and sisters. No, that wasn't enough. They're insatiable. If there's some men coming into this city, they must be had. Sounds like what's going on now, right? Sounds like what's going on in the earth now, where they try to make this a natural, what they would call alternative lifestyle. No, this is a campaign to destroy life. They hate God and they try to hide behind science. Well, that's not the only way people can have babies. I mean, there's artificial insemination and there's sperm banks. Why would you even bring that up when the natural way of doing it is the way to get it done? It have always worked outside of your science. Why even bring that up as an alternative? Because you hate the image of God, because you have to do what? You have to bring a man and woman together to bring forth this child. And automatically that creates something that you don't want. What? when a man and woman come together under the Most High to bring forth a child, they become protectors. And you want access to the children without the family as a barrier. That's what you want. See? They want access to the children without what? A man and woman getting together and saying, I will die before you have my child. And that's what innately creates itself in a family. When you raise a child in love, there's a protection component that they know they can't break through because the Most High have hedged that house. And you're teaching that child righteously. And you're teaching that that activity is disgusting. Read on.
Verse number 6. And Lot went out at the door unto them and shut the door after him, and said, I pray you, brethren, do not so wickedly. Behold now, I have 2 daughters which have not known man.
Now, a lot of people are totally confused to why Lot would do this. But when you go into the book of Jasher and it breaks down this same story, when you look at it in detail, the mother and the daughters were already predisposed to the life of Sodom and Gomorrah. In their minds, they loved the liberty that Sodom afforded them. They were already perverted in their minds concerning or the acceptance of Sodom and Gomorrah. Not just Lot's wife, but Lot's daughters too. And it bears out in the Bible during a time where Lot fell asleep after drinking, that his daughters laid with him and brought forth children through incest, who are now Moabites and Ammonites. Okay, so a lot of people wonder, well, what's going on? Why would Lot do this? He would rather them deal with his daughters than try to impose on the angels of God, because his daughters' mentalities were already, that's right, accepted. They've already accepted the mentality that comes with being raised under Sodom and Gomorrah. The same way a lot of our children now, folks, a lot of our children look at that activity as normal and have been conditioned to think it is. Read on.
Verse 8. Behold now, I have 2 daughters which have not known man. Let me, I pray you, bring them out unto you, and do ye to them as is good in your eyes.
Go ahead, marry them. He was going to marry his daughters off to them. Read.
Only unto these men do nothing, for therefore came they under the shadow of my roof. And they said, Stand back. And they said again. Now,
it's deep that I'm reading this, breaking down the battle against the children of darkness, folks. Understand that, I'm going to tell you, it's their mission to not just live and let live. It's their mission, like we seen in the scriptures on Sodom and Gomorrah. The mission is to get into the righteous house, to get into their homes. It's not enough that we do our parades and we deal with each other separately. No, that's not enough. We must do what? We must get into the righteous homes. We must take their homes. See? That's the true plan. That's the battle we're up against. Read.
And they said, Stand back. And they said again, This one fellow came into sojourn, and he will needs be a judge. Now will we deal worse with thee than with them. And they pressed sore upon the man, even Lot, and came near to break the door. But the men put forth their hand and pulled Lot into the house to them and shut the door.
And shut the door. Read.
Verse 11. And they smote the men which were at the door of the house with blindness, both small and great, so that they wearied themselves to find the door.
Now look at these guys. Look at these guys. Without sight, they're still trying to feel their way into some perverted activity. The demons in these guys totally blind and still trying to feel their way to try to get man love. That's what's going on here. Read. And this is why you notice now, this is why there's an attack on the Bible, and they don't want anyone reading the Bible right now, so that we can identify the real spirit behind these campaigns. It have nothing to do with bullying, live and let live. This is an attack on the image of God so that they can do what? Destroy life altogether. Destroy life altogether, folks. It's in everything we do. With the campaign you're seeing going on for the last couple of years. And that's why Aaron Rodgers say, listen, I want to be a father. The greatest chapter in my life is coming where I want to be a father. And I don't know what's going to happen if I get some stuff in me that may do what? Make me sterile. So this is their real plan, to get behind science and stop man and woman from reprocreating, especially under the institution of marriage that protects what? Children. That's what we're up against. This is our battle against the children of darkness, folks. Read on.
And at the same time, creating a campaign to change the terminology and the overall outlook on what we know as so-called pedophiles. Trying to soften the image of pedophiles.
Yeah, they're moving into that realm now, where they're trying to use this. They're using the same campaign to condition people to accept pedophilia, the way now we've accepted what they call marriage. So they're going to keep moving the bar until life don't exist altogether. That's Satan's plan. Read on.
Verse 12. And the men said unto Lot, Hast thou here any besides son-in-law, and thy sons and thy daughters, and whatsoever thou hast in the city, bring them out of this place.
Read.
Verse 13. For we will destroy this place, because the cry of them is waxen great before the face of the Lord, and the Lord hath sent us to destroy it.
Read that last piece again.
Verse 12. And the men said unto Lot, Hast thou here any besides?
Hold on. Everything good? Everything? Yeah. Yeah, it's fine. All right, finish reading.
Yes, sir. Verse 12. And the men said unto Lot, Hast thou here any besides, son-in-law, and thy sons, and thy daughters, and whatsoever thou hast in the city, bring them out of this place.
He says, bring them out of this place. Read.
For we will destroy this place because the cry of them is waxen great before the face of the Lord, and the Lord hath sent us to destroy it.
He says, the Lord hath sent us to destroy it. Elder Lawyer, let's get Amos 9 and 8.
Yes, sir. Book of Amos, chapter 9, verse number 8.
Read.
Behold, the eyes of the Lord God are upon the sinful kingdom.
The eyes of the Lord is upon the sinful kingdom, the same way it was during the time of Sodom and Gomorrah. And folks, for all the people that are trying to, now, and don't forget, brothers and sisters, this is really what you would call a modern times issue, where people are questioning whether or not the Bible is correct. This stuff just came up within the last 50, 60 years, where people started trying to claim that the Bible isn't correct, folks. This is a modern times issue. I got a whole book, Bible Archaeology, where everything that the Bible said happened, there's archaeological proof of it, including Sodom and Gomorrah. You go into that area till this day and nothing can actually grow there almost. It still smells of sulfur, as if fire rained down on it, like the Bible states. So this is a Western world sick mentality type of thing, where if you go over into the old world, and I lived over there, there's no people over there in the old world, even people who follow Islam, know that the Bible is correct over there. This new Islam that questions the Bible, that doesn't happen over there. That's an American thing.
In fact, it's so real for them that certain stories, like the Exodus story, Joseph, for them, it's still a touchy topic. They don't really even like to talk about those stories because it's so real to them what happened with the destruction of Egypt and so on and so forth from the biblical stories.
Yeah.
So it's a real thing for them.
It's a real thing. They get, really what we can't talk freely about what happened to Egypt without some level of agitation coming from them. Mm-hmm. Because they know that it happened. Mm-hmm. Okay. And another thing. I lived over in the East. They know that the slaves in America are from Jacob. The Muslims over in the East call the Negroes in America Bani Yaqub, the sons of Jacob. So this is a modern day thing where you got these simpletons online debating from American historians whether or not the Bible is real. Sodom and Gomorrah, all they got to do is get their behind up on a plane and go travel into the area and see all the archaeology that the Bible said, that the Bible states. Even where Lot's wife was turned to a pillar of salt. She's still standing there, and there was a rock that's formed over her. Matter of fact, hold on, Elroy. Let me see. Do I got a Zondervan? Get Lot out of there for me. Real quick. I won't be too long. Stick with me. Stick with me here. Let me see. I'm going to take a picture of this. Go to where Lot's wife was turned to a pillar of salt.
The book of Genesis, chapter 19, verse number 17. And it came to pass, when they had brought them forth abroad, that he said, Escape for thy life, look not behind thee, neither say thou in all the plain, Escape to the mountain, lest thou be consumed. And Lot said unto them, O not so, my lord, behold now, thy servant hath found grace in thy sight, and has magnified thy mercy, which thou hast showed me in saving my life, and I cannot escape to the mountain, lest some evil take me and I die. Behold now, this city is near to flee unto, and it is a little one. Oh, let me escape thither. Is it not a little one? And my soul shall live. Jumping down to verse number 21. The sun was risen upon the earth when Lot entered Zoar. And the Lord rained upon Sodom and Gomorrah brimstone and fire from the Lord out of heaven.
Come on.
And he overthrew those cities and all the plain and all the inhabitants of the cities, that which grew upon the ground.
Come on.
Verse 26. But his wife looked back. From behind him.
Read.
And she became a pillar of salt.
Zondervan Bible Dictionary, folks. In the same area where Lot's wife in the Bible became a pillar of salt. I need you to see how this rock protrudes out of the mountain unnaturally. You want to see where Lot's wife is? She's right there. She is right there, protruding out of the side of the mountain. The same as the Bible stated, brothers and sisters. Now, what does it say under here? A pillar of salt. Matter of fact, I'm going to blow it up so you all can see it. There go Lot's wife right there for all you, these simpletons in the conscious community talking about they question whether or not the Bible is real. Talking about I went to Egypt. I went to Egypt too. And there's nobody in Egypt telling you that the Bible isn't real. They come over here, they go over there to try to claim they got some information and never show any information outside of what? the lying white historians who have distorted the truth concerning history. And that's who they're dealing with to try to discredit the Bible. There go Lot's wife right there, according to what the Bible states. She looked back and was turned to a pillar of salt, right there in the location that the Bible said you could find her. And what does it say here? A pillar of salt on Jebel Uzdum hill of Sodom, the mountain of salt on the western shore of the Dead Sea. This pillar of salt is known as Lot's wife. As who? As Lot's wife.
Read this real quick. St. Luke 17:32. Remember Lot's wife.
And that's why Christ said, remember Lot's wife. Because why? When it was time to go, she looked back. Her heart was still in Sodom and Gomorrah. Lot loved her, but he heard her turn to a pillar of salt and kept going. Now, how did this happen? It was the angels of the Most High that turned Lot's wife into a pillar of salt. It was the angels.
Now, for those who don't believe it and want to say that this is an imaginary fairy tale, go ahead and condemn yourself by calling Christ a liar.
Exactly. Great point. Remember Lot's wife. Well, guess what? There's archaeological proof so that people don't forget. So that we don't forget the same he did to Sodom and Gomorrah will come here. Because America have become Sodom and Gomorrah times 10,000. And that's why he said, remember Lot's wife. If you have your heart in this place and think when it goes down, hey, you better be somewhere else or you'll be turned like what? You'll be destroyed like Lot's wife. See? So it happened. Archaeological proof. And who are the angels? The angels in the Bible are described as the eyes of the Lord. Amos 9 and 8. Let's read.
Yes, sir. The book of Amos, chapter 9. Amos 9 and 8.
Read it.
Behold, the eyes of the Lord God are upon the sinful kingdom.
Are upon the sinful kingdom. Read.
And I will destroy it from off the face of the earth.
I will destroy it from off the face of the earth. Fire.
Saving that I will not utterly destroy the house of Jacob.
But I will not utterly destroy the house of Jacob,
saith the Lord.
saith the Most High. See? You see how Lot and his family, now here it is. Lot and his family, brothers and sisters, were procrastinating. So what did the angels do? The angels grabbed them and pulled them through a gate, and they were right there on the mountain. And the wife still looked back and was turned to a pillar of salt. So we know that according to the scriptures that he will not what?
I will not utterly destroy the house of Jacob.
There will be a remnant saved through the fire, through the judgment on earth. There will be a remnant. I will not utterly destroy them, even though Sodom and Gomorrah must get judged. See? So the judgment that's coming to America, that's coming to the Western world, isn't for Jacob. So we have to understand this battle and stand on the right side of which master will serve. See? The eyes of the Lord are the angels of the Most High. Read it.
The eyes of the Lord God are upon the sinful kingdom.
Come on.
I will destroy it from off the face of the earth.
Come on.
Saving
Except
that I will not utterly destroy the house of Jacob,
I will not utterly destroy the house of Jacob,
saith the Lord.
saith the Most High. He have promised this. If we're willing to walk righteously. Read.
Verse 9. For lo, I will command, and I will sift the house of Israel.
Now, who is he commanding? The angels. Like he did during the time of Lot. To do what?
I will command the angel. I will command. I will sift the house of Israel.
I will sift Israel
among all nations.
Among all nations, the four quarters of the earth.
Like as corn is sifted in a sieve.
Come on.
Yet shall not the least grain fall upon the earth.
But not, it says, but read that part again, Elder Lawyer.
Yes, sir. For lo, I will command, and I will sift the house of Israel among all nations.
Come on.
Like as corn is sifted in a sieve.
Come on.
Yet shall not the least grain fall upon the earth.
Not the least grain will fall to the earth. Read.
All the sinners of my people shall die by the sword.
But all the people who are walking after the course of this world without repenting, according to the Bible, will die in the judgment decreed. The Most High is giving our people a chance. And all the Gentiles who are willing to follow the true knowledge of the Almighty. He's given us a chance. But all the people who choose the darkness of this world will what?
Shall die by the sword.
Shall die by the sword. Why is the Most High doing this? Let me show you why. They have made let me tell you, folks, they have made a concentrated effort to destroy the image of God, which is marriage. And you know what? They are succeeding. They are succeeding. You know what? They're succeeding. Look at your screen, folks. Look at your screen. Lucifer, the television show. The Baphomet, male and female, which is transgender, have now been pushed to the forefront. RuPaul have no talent at all except embarrassing what should be the image of God as a true man. An embarrassment before the earth. That if a black man is to be celebrated, he must be a cross-dresser. See? They have achieved their plan, like in Sodom and Gomorrah, to normalize the spirit of freaks. See? Lucifer's to the point where, it's not Leave It to Beaver. It's not the Waltons. It's not Little House on the Prairie. It's Lucifer as a main television show within the earth, and a full-grown, bald old dude walking around looking like what? Folks? Look at this picture. This nasty, it's disgusting. It's the Baphomet. This is why they're celebrating RuPaul and others.
And the fact that it's out in the open and celebrated is a sign within itself. There was a time when this type of activity was kept in, certain corners. You had to go to certain locations within a city in the dark alleys to get what you see this guy doing.
Exactly. It's a celebration of the Baphomet that is accepted by who? All the races of the earth now, without opposition. So that's why it says the eyes of the Lord are upon the sinful kingdom. He must judge, or there'll be none left. This is what's coming for your children. The image of the Baphomet. These are going to be your politicians, your principals, your school teachers. This is your scientists. This is the true mentality behind everything that's going on, to destroy the image of God, which is family. It's not about them being married. They know what they're doing isn't marriage. It's about redefining it to destroy the image of God altogether. Because if we would allow this, we would allow or accept anything. And now, just like at Lot's house, they're at the door. They're at the door. Elder Lawyer, let's round it up.
Yes, sir.
Romans 1 and 20. We're going to end it with Ephesians 5 and 8 and Joshua 14 and 5. 24 and 15. Let me get it here. You sure it's not Joshua 14? It's 24?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Verses 14 and 15.
Okay, 14 and 15. All right. Tawana. Let me put it there. Let me get that. All right. Romans 1 and 20, the attack on the image of God. Read.
Romans 1, verse 20.
Read.
For the invisible things of him from the creation of the world are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made, even his eternal power and Godhead, so that they are without excuse.
So they are without excuse. So the eternal power and Godhead is the first family from heaven. So that mankind are without excuse. Now, what does the Most High have in heaven so that we can look at as the model for life? Read.
21. Because that when they knew God,
they
glorified him not as God, neither were thankful, but became vain in their imagination.
Go back to 1 and 20 again.
Yes, sir. Verse 20. For the invisible things of him from the creation of the world are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made.
What was made? Male and female made he them. Read.
Even his eternal power and Godhead.
Godhead, Father, Son, Holy Spirit, first family, male, female, child. That's the first family. That's right. We've taught it in the academy. We've taught it over and over again. They lied when they claimed the Holy Spirit was a he. In the Greek, it's not he or she, it's a kinos, which means that one. The Holy Spirit is wisdom. Wisdom, which is a she. Wisdom is known of her children. The first three were the Father, the Holy Spirit, and life, Christ. The first three spirits, which are what? The Godhead. The Romans and Greeks being freaks, when they merged paganism with Christianity, they continued the Trinity that came through what? Rome, Greece, Zeus, Jupiter, and who? Poseidon. Three male figures. Okay? The Holy Spirit is a feminine spirit. It's the Ruach, the breath of God, the first family. Read that again.
For the invisible things of him from the creation of the world are clearly seen.
And we break that down in the creation of the universe with no problem. Scriptures confirm this clearly. Read.
Being understood by the things that are made, even his eternal power and Godhead, so that they are without excuse.
So they are without excuse. What would be the excuse? That it's okay to have family outside of the original order of creation. So that we'll start thinking that a man with man can raise children like what? A traditional father and mother raising children. Okay? They would think, well, two parents. We found out that the two parents, the children are raised more so healthier in a two-parent household. You hear them saying that? Mm-hmm. What they're not telling you is 99.9% of the numbers they're using are married people, husband and wife. So they switched that to a two-parent household. Mm-hmm. Well, healthy children are more healthy, we found, if they're raised in a two-parent household, without telling people the two-parent and the percentages of numbers that they're drawing from are male and female married households. Read.
Verse 21. Because that when they knew God, they glorified him not as God, neither were thankful, but became vain in their imagination.
Neither were thankful. Disobedient to parents. They became what?
But became vain in their imaginations.
Vain in their imaginations. Oh yeah, God, they had to switch it all up now. Evolution. we came from something just blowing up in the sky, and now total order is bringing forth life, male and female, out of nowhere. 635 trillion billion years ago, it happened. They would rather you deal with that than acknowledge the true image of God, which is life, male and female. They'd rather say that you came from a monkey than to admit or give credit to the God who made all we see. That's the foolishness our children are learning in school. It's supposed to be called science. Okay? It's supposed to be science. Think about it, folks. I need y'all to think about it. Who would be promoting artificial insemination and fertility and all that other stuff? Who would try to come up with an alternative way outside of how the Most High made reprocreation, the natural science to bring forth children? Who would? These freaks. See? Because they need a place to be able to bring forth life and raise children. Because why? The reprobate mind won't allow them to say, you know what? I was born with the natural way of having a child. Mm-hmm. Let me go get a woman and stop desiring and using and having these what you would call perverted ideas for relationships. They're rather, let me tell you, I can speak on this for hours, but I can't because time is running out. Finish reading, come on.
But became vain in their imaginations, and their foolish heart was darkened.
Their foolish heart was darkened. They went into science so that they can justify their actions, and now what? Their foolish hearts are darkened altogether. Right? Altogether. Irrational. And this is how the children of darkness think, folks. They become educated according to this world as a way, and it's a tactic, to convince people through philosophy and argument not to follow the moral way according to the Bible. That's what they do. Read.
Professing themselves to be wise, they became fools.
I'm a professor. You're still a fool. I have a master's. You are a fool. Because with all that knowledge, the world has waxed worse. Mm-hmm. More degrees, more information, more everything, but the earth waxed worse. The earth is worse because of it. You would have been better off not going to school, learning the Bible, and instilling values in your children. Read.
23. And changed the glory of the uncorruptible God into an image made like to corruptible man.
Like to what?
Corruptible man.
Like unto corruptible man.
And to birds, and four-footed beasts, and creeping things. Wherefore God also gave them up to uncleanness through the lust of their own hearts.
Come on.
To dishonor their own bodies between themselves.
To dishonor their own bodies between themselves. Read.
Who changed the truth of God into a lie.
Who changed the truth of God into a lie. Read.
And worshipped and served the creature more than the creator.
And served what?
The creature more than the creator.
And I'm going to be going into this in 2 weeks about the intentional woman. We already did the intentional man with the other night amongst the brethren. And I need to say this, and we're going to be pushing this amongst the fathers to teach in their homes. It doesn't matter what the pressures of the world are concerning fashion. That we are to tell our daughters to stay away from the lashes, the hair, and all those things, and not think they're less because of it. Why? So that we can recognize what a transvestite looks like. Mm-hmm. They started pushing this so that they can hide themselves in a costume amongst our people. So if we teach normalcy and show that our daughters that they're loved regardless of that, and I know they're going to feel starved for attention, but that's the wrong attention anyway. But we've made a society in which these guys can dress up like a woman and hide themselves amongst women. This is why they did this, not to style out and make our women more attractive, because our women were attractive before all of this. They did this so that everyone can look like a transvestite. That's another lesson in of itself. Finish reading.
Who changed the truth of God into a lie.
Who changed the truth of God into a lie.
And worshipped and served the creature more than the Creator, who was blessed forever. Amen.
Come on.
For this cause, God gave them up unto vile affections.
For this cause, because they didn't want to go back to the Most High, repent from their perverted thoughts, and live a righteous and traditional life, the Most High now turned them over to a vile affection. And now they're going to come up with excuses to why it's okay now. Usually, sometimes it's financial. See, I grew up in North Philadelphia. I grew up and I've seen it all. Sometimes it's financial. A lot of these women are not like that at all. But what happens is they get with a person, it doesn't work out right, and now one of these others come into them and convince them, well, listen, I can come in, I'm your friend, I can help you pay some bills, I can do all of this and all that. And next thing you know, she's getting you drunk and all these things, and now you're sitting there laying next to another woman. That's what happens in the hood. Sometimes they lean on these women who have gotten all of this minority money to sustain financially. Why? Because they have children and all that, and they can't make ends meet. And now here comes a woman trying to operate like a man to try to fulfill that, the wounds in that woman. This happens more than not in our hoods. And no one talks about it. Another thing that's happening, once the girl gets on her feet and no longer want to deal with that because she feels dark every time she experienced that activity, she tries to go back to norm and try to get back with a guy. And guess what's happening, folks? And these news articles are being suppressed. There's a lot of our sisters and all that. There's a lot of domestic abuse. And I know for sure, 100%, domestic abuse and even murder that happens when a sister's saying, I don't want to deal with that no more. And try to go back. Obviously, she was attracted to a man because she got children. She has children. But now, you're going to take advantage of me and try to take my money and all that. And now these people have been emboldened by the law to be able to do all types of things if you want to back out of that activity. And people are getting hurt or even worse after being in relationships with these people. And the church can't talk about it no more. So a lot of these girls are in these relationships with threats on their life if they choose to do what's right and no one is talking about it. Read on.
Verse number 26.
Yeah.
For this cause God gave them up unto vile affections.
Come on.
For even their women did change the natural use into that which is against nature. And likewise also the men, leaving the natural use of the woman, burned in their lust one toward another, men with men working that which is unseemly.
Men with men working that which is unseemly. Because from the heavens, they looking at that like, this is not why we made man. We made man to do what? To be fruitful, multiply, to marry, to have dominion over the earth, to teach righteousness, to bring forth strong sons. So the angels are looking at this like, this is weird. This is weird. A man with a man working, which is unseemly. Because why? No life comes from it. No life comes from it. Read.
and receiving in themselves that recompense of their error which was meet. And even as they did not like to retain God in their knowledge, God gave them over to a reprobate mind to do those things which are not convenient.
So what would they teach if these same people with a reprobate mind become leaders over science? Through their science, what would they begin to promote through their psychology? To have pleasure without the thought of family or legacy. It was them that came up with this idea. Mm-hmm. So it would put people on equal, under an equal perverted mentality like them, where it's just about the physical pleasure without what? The thought of what you're producing. Or don't produce at all because they can't. It would be them who would come up with ways of sterilizing people, causing fertility issues in people. It will be them. So that they can say, well, y'all just doing it with no life coming from it. That makes y'all no different than us. See? That's a reprobate, that's a sick mind who would even look to make people sick. Come up with science and all that to stop women from being able to have children because they can't have it. Because they choose not to deal righteously like the Most High intended, man with woman. So they say, y'all claim we're broke? We're going to break all of you. That's how the children of darkness operates. You're claiming that we're sick? Something wrong with us? Well, now we're in position to break all of you. See? Read on.
Talk and mention real quick. It's heavy what you're bringing out because when you look at the free love revolution, it wasn't the everyday person that was bringing about this revolution. The ideas was coming from intellectuals.
Yeah.
So-called doctors, so-called professors. They were bringing forth the books and the lectures and things of that nature, which sparked the free love revolution.
Exactly. And check it out. And because I'm glad you brought that out, Elder, because maybe we're going to do a broadcast on this.
Yes, sir.
To show you the perverted spirits that came up with the idea of what we call science today. Mm-hmm. This is why a lot of science, that's why a lot of people who deal with perversions, they choose not to deal with the Bible at all. Mm-hmm. They try to go into Egyptology or some other type of religion, become a Buddhist to excuse their behavior. But another thing they've done, they understand that the Most High made Adam and Eve to bring forth legacy or a name. But because they choose to go against the Most High through their perversions, there's no legacy or name that they would leave for themselves. They're forgotten. So what they did was set up a system of straight degeneracy where there would be no true reason to come together outside of carnal lust. So now you have all these children, there's different people, different men, different women, and there's no legacy left. There's no name because there's no one name for the home anymore to be left to the child. The child is sitting there saying, what is my legacy? There is no legacy because there's 3 different fathers or this, that, and the other. There is no legacy to be made. There's no name left. There is not one name left in this society where a relationship can come together and they'll leave a name and say, well, okay, there's honor that my children must uphold. I've left a legacy that they must uphold. Folks, it's them that did that. It was them. The evildoers, the same spirits that are behind Sodom and Gomorrah, Satan's army. And one of his greatest tools in this earth is science against the Most High's truth. Finish reading.
Yes, sir. Verse 29, being filled with all unrighteousness, fornication, wickedness, covetousness, maliciousness, full of envy, murder, debate, deceit, malignity.
This is all the things that we've read in the book of Timothy. It's from them. They sit back and calculate on how to cause dissension between men and women. And when the arguments ensue, they sit back only to marvel at their work and become the level-headed person in the room. Folks, how many times you see on some of these so-called reality shows where women are jumping over and trying to fight the man and all that, and then at the end of the season, who do they have in the middle narrating as the level-headed person? You think that's by chance? That they would have a gay guy as the calmest, most rational person in the room? With black men on this side and black women on the other side? Who's more level-headed? It's them bringing the reasoning, the solutions, the psychology of why we're so broke. Do you recognize that? They're always the most rational people in the room. But they're the producers who are getting paid, creating the chaos and going behind and getting all these stories that's incinerating either side for ratings. It's about time for us to take our power back, because the only power they have is the power we are relegating to them. Come on, let's go.
Whisperers.
Whisperers, that's what they do. Well, hey, I found some information that he left online through a tweet, and she'll be saying, what? Yeah, he tweet this girl, and he don't know that you know about it, but we're gonna wait till you get in the room, and then action. Action. Whisperers. They're troublemakers. This is what emboldens them over us. They sit back and calculate and cause dissension and cause disagreements between man and woman. Yeah, he's a cheater. He's a cheater. She's a cheater. She's a cheater. Let me tell you, folks, the whole world is cheating. That's the world we're in right now. That's the world that must be judged. Here we are. Read.
Backbiters. Haters of God.
Read that again.
Backbiters.
Literally and figuratively. Read.
Haters of God. Despiteful. Proud. Boasters. Inventors of evil things.
Inventors of evil things. Read.
Disobedient to parents. Without understanding. Covenant breakers. Without natural affection.
Without natural affection.
Implacable.
Implacable.
Unmerciful.
Unmerciful.
Who, knowing the judgment of God, that they which commit such things are worthy of death.
And they know death is coming, but they're looking to take down family with them. They know eventually there'll be a judgment. You can't know all the history and have the education they have and don't know and not know about Sodom and Gomorrah. Mm-hmm. They also know that the spiritual realm exists, including hell. What they're not telling you is that the gate's been open, and now soon they're going to make it through this virtual world that people will be able to enter the realms of hell virtually. The metaverse, hell have come to the surface, folks. I'll be dealing with that this coming Wednesday. They're trying to drag all of us into their judgment. Read on.
Without verse 32, who knowing the judgment of God, that they which commit such things are worthy of death.
Of death.
Not only do the same, but have pleasure in them that do them.
Not only do the same, but there's people who have pleasure. They have pleasure in those who operate pervertly. And folks, I need y'all to remember something. I don't know if y'all remember this, folks. I would like to remind you before we break down. We're going to end it Ephesians 5 and 8 real quick. Let me remind you. Do y'all know what was going on in the news before the virus came out? What was everyone talking about before the virus came out? Before the whole earth was distracted with the virus? What were they talking about? You forgot, didn't you? Man, this media campaign diverted everyone from this, folks. Weinstein, Epstein, Pizzagate, pedophilia, politicians being pulled to the carpet because Trump was investigating pedophilia amongst those that were actually dealing with children and all that. Y'all remember that? And all of a sudden, the cold came. And everyone forgot that the real story was them coming after our children and that becoming mainstream media. And all of a sudden, a campaign comes to totally take those stories off. Epstein Island, Weinstein, pedophilia. You know why? Because also being implicated in all this was the current president. He was also being implicated in that during Trump's administration, where since they was coming to take him down, he was investigating their pedophilia acts in Washington, Epstein Island, and all that. Right? Y'all totally forgot about that because they were able to distract you with the cold.
Even the so-called vice president implicated when she was running for president.
Yeah, come on.
Biden was responsible for sexually assaulting women and things of that nature.
Yeah, all of that was on the table, folks. But automatically they distracted people with George Floyd, the riots, and all of that. It was off of our consciousness in a moment because they know people. People are fickle. But I remember Pizzagate, Epstein Island, all of that was pointing to pedophilia amongst the elite groups. The politicians as well as the entertainers. They came after Trump and now he had all this information from when they stayed in his hotels. All of that was about to come out. And then the world caught a cold. I'm going to leave that there. Elder Lawyer, let's end it. Ephesians 5 and 8. Let's read it.
Ephesians 5, verse 8.
Read.
For ye were sometimes darkness, but now are ye light in the Lord.
We was one time not realizing how dark this earth was we were born in. But you know what? Even though it's very dark, I'm so blessed and grateful that I'm able to see the earth for what it is. It's no time, brothers and sisters, to be walking in darkness right now without realizing how close we are as a people. Read.
For you were sometimes darkness, but now are ye light in the Lord. Walk as children of light.
Walk as what?
As children of light.
We must walk with full understanding of the world we've been born in, brothers and sisters, and this war we've been born in, this spiritual war. We must walk with the full knowledge of it. Read.
Verse 9. For the fruit of the Spirit is in all goodness and righteousness and truth, proving what is
in what?
In truth, proving what is acceptable unto the Lord.
We must now prove what is acceptable to him, the law, and stand on it. And by doing so, our family is hedged. Now, the great thing about this, brothers and sisters, is that our children are hedged with us. If you walk right, the Most High will hear the prayers and the angels will direct and help your children, even if they're walking sideways or without complete understanding right now. Okay? Read.
Verse 11, and have no fellowship with the unfruitful works of darkness, but rather reprove them.
Rather correct them. Read.
For it is a shame even to speak of those things which are done of them in secret. But all things that are reproved are made manifest by the light, for whatsoever doeth make manifest is light.
For whatever makes manifest is life. And we must walk in the light of Christ, brothers and sisters. Don't let anyone out there Don't let anyone out there dim your light or tell you that you must put your light under something so that, because why? Well, you're not allowed to speak of righteousness because you might offend someone. You might do this, you might do that. Nah, walk with your light. There's a battle for territory right now.
You gotta play the game.
Exactly, man. You gotta play the game, man. You gotta cover your behind, and you gotta do all. They just tell me that at the job. Man, listen, man. You know, it's about covering your behind in certain instances and all. Like, what are you talking about? Why can't we just be honest? Right? You gotta play the game. Nah, don't let anyone dim your light. Either they're winning or we're winning. And as you can see, these people aren't giving up ground that we are relinquishing to them. They won't take the ground, and once they take the ground, they're moving for more. And now they're in the house like at the time of Lot. Folks, they're coming after your children. This stuff that they're trying to put in people, you don't want your child to indulge. And I'm going to leave it there. All right? With that, hope today we'll understand the levels and who we're fighting against when it comes to the children of darkness and our battle in it. And I hope we would walk in the knowledge of the Most High, his law in the Spirit of Christ, so that we can withstand the devil in what? This day, this time of evil. With that, I'm going to say shalom. I'm Elder Ricard Shiar. Put on the full armor of God with the Gathering of Christ Church. And we'll see you tomorrow in our Hebrew and Bible Academy. Hey, Shabbat got some news for you, folks. Hey, I'll see you tomorrow in the Academy with our lesson, Who is Edom? We're going to go into the Edomites, some of the practices they had. And there's a question that's out there. Can Esau be saved? And the answer is yes. Some of them. And I'm going to break that down tomorrow. Some of them. Now, who's that some? Who's that remnant? You'll find out tomorrow in our Hebrew and Bible Academy on our lesson, Who is Edom? We're going to show you that Edom have worked and spent a king treasure to hide his true identity in the earth. Jacob's nemesis tomorrow. Shalom.
Shalom.
Stay prayed up, sin not. We will soon see Zion.
To Zion. I was lost, but now I'm found. I'm a child of Israel. I heard the sound. You hear the sound. Please give me the strength to stand today. With my eyes towards the east, show me the way. Lord God, my path, show me the way to Zion. I opened up the book and see that the apple of your eye included me. And through the tribulation, I know I